The meeting of the October Fairhope Airport Authority to call it in order. Thank you. I'll call the meeting in order. First item of business is approval of the September 19th regular meeting summary. Any questions or deletions on the minutes? Do I have approval to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve?
A motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the last airport board meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Anybody opposed to approving the minutes?
Don't oppose. I will abstain since I was not here.
That's fine. Okay. All right. What I'd like to do next is get out of order, not out of order, but there were several things that Volker sent over on Thursday and Friday that we didn't have a chance to put in your agenda. And what I'd like to do is amend the agenda to include two things. One, to review the construction improvement plan for the Fairhope Airport. And then secondly, to get a resolution to go forward with the 2018 AIP program. So those are both two agenda items. So I'd like a motion to put those on the agenda.
Make a motion to amend the agenda to include the two items mentioned by Chairman.
Second.
All those in favor of approving
The motion.
the motion?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Let's do the easy one first. We want to go forward again to do the AIP program again in 2017, 2018. Part of that is doing a pre-application. We have to have that pre-application both to the state and to the FAA by November 1st. So what I'd like to do is have this authority basically make a recommendation that we make application. Or Josh, do you want to?
I didn't bring a copy of the resolution. I didn't.
Well,
but I have drafted a resolution, two in fact, one for the city that I emailed to Lisa and one for the airport authority. The resolution for the city is to authorize the mayor or other designated representative to execute both the application and the agreement for the fiscal year 2018 grant process. For the authority, what we are doing, because technically the city is the airport sponsor for purposes of these grants, but the authority still has to have the matching funds to meet the grant requirements. And so the resolution for the authority is to, number one, set aside the appropriate amount of money for those matching funds to meet the grant requirements. Number two, would authorize the board chairman, if any documents, applications, grant agreements, et cetera, are required to have the signature of the authority, then the board chairman would be authorized to sign those documents. So that is the twofold, or two of the issues that would be covered in that resolution. I would have brought a copy of it, but didn't know we were going to need it this evening.
and we've worked with Lisa to get it on the agenda for next Monday night's meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
Do we need a motion in here to recommend to place that on the council's next agenda? I think we might be a formality. I don't know if
I
it's
think that's,
necessary.
I mean, I like to make sure that we're on record supporting going forward with the application, and, you know, also that we have the necessary, that I can sign things if we need to, outside of having a special call meeting.
Mr. Chairman, my recommendation would be to have a motion made by someone on the airport authority, preferably not me, to move this forward to the council for immediate consideration.
I'll move.
Okay?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
What's the total of these years 2018 through 2023 on the airport's part of setting aside funds? I was just trying to add that up here.
I don't know, it's a lot. But we're just doing 2018 now, though, but it would be,
Well, yeah, 2018 is 160,000.
yeah.
Okay. All right, so it's just applying for 2018.
So anyway,
Okay.
and can somebody give me the motion again? I think we've moved it a second.
I move that we ask the city to put the approval on the agenda for the next meeting. What's the date of that?
Next
Next
Monday.
Monday.
Next Monday, 23rd.
And that you authorize the chairman to sign any documents that we need to sign.
Right.
Okay? All right. We have a motion, we have a second? Okay. All right, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, the second amendment to the agenda is I want to have Hank Eubanks is here. We got the CIP program for basically the next 5 years. And this is, it's not carved in stone, but I think y'all update this every 2 years?
Yes, sir.
So this is,
Actually, every year we update.
okay, we didn't have much of a discussion on it last year because we kind of knew where we were going, but, so what you basically have in front of you is a 5-year rolling plan, if you will. The first 2 years, we obviously want to get phase 4 done. And then then in 2019, I think we know what we want to do. We want to move forward with the general aviation terminal and some drainage improvement programs. But having said that, everything else, we've talked about some resurfacing of the taxiways and some other stuff, but none of that's really, we've really not agreed to do any of that, have we?
No, you have not. This is simply a wish list. And it's subject to change based on what, the airport kind of dictates how things flow and what order they come in. If you have issues with, like, say, a runway, that's gonna take precedence, and that will naturally move things from, if a runway improvement was at the bottom, it would naturally move to the top and become a priority, because that's the most important piece of pavement on the airfield. But this is simply a wish list. We do know that, phase 4 is the hot item, that's the elephant in the room that needs to get finished next year. And then 19, we had a drainage improvement set up that would utilize your entitlement funds. And then, at the same time, subsequent to 2019 and the drainage improvements, you guys are going to move forward with trying to get the terminal building built.
Yep.
Which would fall right on the heels of finishing construction for phase 4. That would be starting in 18, ending in 19. And then everything that's past that, it can get shuffled around, it can get moved around. Like I say, this is just a capital improvement plan, it's subject to change to whatever suits the authority.
And then I brought up in an email this morning that, one of my priorities is to get more reimbursement for the land that we've already purchased. And that's something we need to, every time I know the FAA likes to build structures and do what they do as far as aviation, but we need to get some of that land on the east side reimbursed.
And we can move that on the plan however you guys see fit. The one thing I will say that anytime there's improvement that needs to be done on the airfield, especially when it's drainage improvements that impact airfield operations or maintenance of the airfield itself, you have to kind of weigh those out and determine whether or not you need to do those first as opposed to get reimbursed for property that was purchased. But you can go either way.
Would it not diminish the chances of being reimbursed for the property after it's been improved?
I guess it could or couldn't. The reimbursement of the property that was purchased is not part of the airfield, I guess, impact area, if you want to say. The drainage improvements that are needed
Right.
on the airfield were found, I think, 3 or 3.5 years ago, that were already inside the airport's property. It's basically inside the perimeter fence. The property that you've purchased is beyond that perimeter fence, so reimbursement of that may not take precedence, but if it's determined that you can go another year without doing anything to the drainage, then you can move that up. It's a decision for the authority to make.
I think that we couldn't do anything on the east side without the purchase of that tract of land there.
Yeah, I think it becomes a priority. I like, the next time, every conversation I'm having with the FAA, I'm going to remind them that we're out there for about $2.5 million in land purchase.
And we can, like I say, we can move it. We can definitely move it up.
We need to get phase 4 done, though.
Yeah, phase 4 is number 1. I
Yeah.
think everybody understands that.
Yes, sir.
I just got a text from Ray if we can give him a number he'd like to call in. Or I'll put him, he can call my cell phone, I'll put on speaker.
No, if, or why don't we call him?
I think he's out of the country.
Oh,
It's only $4 or $5 a minute. I won't-
It's
Yeah.
And it's your phone.
do you know the number here of the speaker?
We'll try to wrap it up in a couple of hours, don't worry.
No, I was looking up.
Or you could call, and I can tell you what the call is about when you guys.
You will?
Show up as outside city hall number.
Don't call him, it'll cost you a fortune, Sheriff.
No, have him call me.
Yeah, just text him and call him. He's got a satellite phone, I think.
Yeah. He's got all the toys.
He might be orbiting the Earth on one of those SpaceX.
Yeah.
things.
I'm down to 26% on my battery, so if we run out of juice, he's on his own.
You want me to call him?
Why don't you call him?
There's a lot of money in this 5-year plan. It's almost $13.5 million. I mean, but if you look back over the last five years, we've gotten about $10 million. So it's not an unreasonable amount of, it's not unreasonable. We've had some success in attracting FAA money. So even though this is a big number, we've certainly managed that over the last 5 years.
The only thing that jumped off the page at me was the small amount of land
Hey.
acquisition money requested.
We don't know our phone number, so I'm calling you, or I'm gonna put you on speakerphone. All right, hold on. Can you hear us?
Good?
All right, good.
Good.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you all.
We just talked through the CIP program, and we were just discussing that, that there's a lot of money out there that we're hoping for in the next 5 years. But we want to emphasize to the FAA that we want to be reimbursed for the east side property as quickly as possible. Okay?
Hey, Hank, this $3.2 million next year, how close is that to what we had lined up that we were trying to obtain this year?
Could be
It
him.
is that number.
It's identical.
Yeah, it's not identical. I did add a little bit minus the gravity sewer.
Here's the number to that phone.
Matter of fact, if you flip over 2 pages
We got him on
right
the cell
there,
phone right
you'll
now.
see the breakdown of that.
I'm just
What
gonna
I
write
did,
that down, just so that we
For
know.
instance, I just took what the airfield, the money that was needed to
Thank you.
finish the drainage and paving on the airfield and the lighting. I took the numbers that were given on the bids, fluffed them a little bit because we know there's gonna probably be some inflation between now and June of next year when this thing gets rebid. And then I lighted the money that was set up for the access road to be lit. And then I took the dollar amount for the water line, and on the sanitary sewer, I took only the items that were related to the force main, not the gravity sewer, because FAA said they wouldn't pick up the tab on the gravity, but they would consider force main. And then the other was the electrical and communication, and that's what.
They're not force main, they said grinder pump.
Well, the force main, what the FAA will pay for would be nothing but a 3 or 4 inch force main line, a pressurized line that runs into the property and ties to an existing force main north of 32. Whenever it comes time to build hangars, the tenants would have to be responsible for making that connection to the line that's within the utility easement that you'll see on the airport layout plan.
So we would require them to have a grinder pump. They'd have to do the tap fee, backflow preventer,
Right.
everything be part of their lease to get into the enforcement.
Everything that the utility, in this case, I'm assuming would be Fairhope, would be the utility provider. They would come out of the utility corridor up to the lease property, set a box. Inside that box, you'll have your backflow prevention. Once you hit the backflow and it goes to the hangar or whatever structure you have there, that will all be the responsibility of the tenant or the airport.
And this is, as you say, a 3 or 4 inch force main should be enough to handle everything that we could conceive of building out there.
Yeah, well, they build subdivisions, 100 lot subdivisions with 4 inch force main off
Okay.
And this is around $85,000.
of $75,000 to $85,000.
And that was,
Those were numbers that came from the
the
actual
bids?
bids of last year.
And what was the number we were looking at sewer-wise, the way we presented it last time?
$481,000 was the low price.
So we're $400,000.
500, $500,000 versus 75,000.
Okay. It's easy math.
Yep.
This is, so let me make sure, this is subject to change, we can change this, or is this going to be what we submit?
The capital improvement plan, we
Yep.
can adjust it now, right? Just, you guys tell me what you.
All right, I'm gonna be very frank with you.
Okay.
I don't think you get paid for land acquisition, so I think you're worried about how much money we're gonna get. And, you got 10% of $2.9 million, so we need to have some money in there for land acquisition in 2018. 2019, you got a 20% fee in there, it went from 10 to 20%. I don't see any land acquisition. 2019, 2020, 20% fee again, I don't see any land.
21 is some money, but let's put
I question that.
Okay.
Let's put $150,000 in land acquisition in 21, 22, 23. Is that okay?
If that covers what that side cost us.
No, but it gets us back in a routine reimbursement from the FAA. One year, we'll just ask for $500,000 or $1 million. I think we're $2.2 million into them. I mean, I think that's what they.
And the only, and Jack, to answer your question, $150,000, the only reason there's a cap on that is because the only thing you can use for reimbursement of property that FAA will allow you to use is your entitlement money. You can't use the discretionary money to reimburse land. So that's why that number is low.
Okay,
That's the only reason though.
all right.
So do we want to put land acquisition in 2021, 22, 23 on the
How about
capital?
19, 20, 21? I mean, yeah.
On 19?
19 is next year or the year after next?
19 would be next year.
Okay.
Yeah,
This
we're in
pre-app
fiscal
that we're
year.
doing now would be 18.
19 would be fine.
And we're gonna leave it out at 18.
I'll leave it at 18.
Yeah.
Leave it out 18 because that's gonna kind of mess you up for
Yeah.
discretionary.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that?
And then the minimum, next 3 years would be 150, we might ask for more.
We could ask for more,
We
like,
won't get
say
more.
for the, well, we wouldn't need discretionary money next year for drainage improvement or whatever, but if we decide to forego the drainage improvement, we can do the land acquisition with your entitlement.
And the other thing, I mean, that's, in 2019, we start seriously talking about building the general aviation terminal. The number I have from Goodwin Mills was like 625. So, I think we're pretty assured that the state would give us 250. I think we would have from our own devices maybe another 150. So we probably have about a $225,000 difference or shortfall. And, I think we would have to figure out a way to, come up with that, but I think that's not an unreasonable amount of money to look from the corporate, look for either CMS or maybe someone else to basically put that other, to build a nice thing, a nice terminal we all can be proud of.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if the FAA reimburse the terminal building, but I can
Now,
definitely.
the FAA will not reimburse.
Okay, I know the state has that grant.
The state has a pool of money that they basically do 1 to 2 terminals a year. And we're poised to get that money as soon as we're able to. We've been told that. And we've got plans done. We've got, we've gone a long way towards getting what we need to be done. Okay, but that would be my priority for 2019, was to try to move forward to find a way to get that terminal started or whatever. Okay.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm clear, land acquisition from 19 on. That's basically. what we're
Reimbursement,
looking at.
yes.
Okay.
Ray, do you have any comments?
I think that the gap that we're discussing on the cost between what we're proposed here for Volker and what Goodwin said, I think that, ultimately, whoever's going to operate that FBO over there, maybe that'd be an opportunity to get someone to put some commitment to the project as well as part of the RFP we ultimately do. So.
I think that's what everybody's thinking but not saying. Okay? Any other comments or questions on the CIP?
I would like to know why from fiscal year 18 to fiscal year 19, the fees went up 10% or doubled.
The design for the phase 4 is already completed. You're paying for that in 2017's grant. So there are no design fees for the 2018. It's just a matter of doing the bid and construction. Does that make sense, Ms. Pam?
Construction management.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. They're just using the exact same phrase and terminology on each one, so if you don't question what went into each one, you think that they're just doubled.
They may have doubled the verbiage. I'll correct that to take out.
That's why I asked the
Yeah.
question. It was the same fee for the same work.
Yeah.
It's engineering, I guess, needs to be pulled out of the 2018 because it really should just be bid and construction
That
for
would've-
next
Yeah.
year. That's where
Yeah.
that 10% value.
I mean, don't
Yeah, that would have
don't
made,
get
that would have
sloppy,
made Robert
in
Mark
other
about those
words. You know, I know you're used to using certain phraseology for, you know, this mobilization and this and so forth, but if it doesn't apply,
Right.
you know.
Okay. Any other comments? So where we are is you'll amend this plan as we discussed, and with those amendments, we'll accept the plan and submit it to the FAA in the state. Is that right?
Right. I'll go and make these corrections, send it back to you with a Form 424, which is the actual pre-application for the grant.
Okay.
And it'll have the CIP, just basically this whole thing over again, except it'll be minus a lot of those projects. It'll basically be land acquisition from 19 and on. So a lot of this pamphlet's gonna be a lot thinner.
Okay.
And then I'll re-forward that to you with a Form 424 that is your pre-app. And I guess I heard you guys talking about having your own resolution. I know we have a resolution that normally we send to.
We use yours.
It's yours.
Oh, okay.
It's
Do I need to
your-
re-forward that or?
No, you don't. In essence, it's the same as yours. We just had to reformat it just a little to make it clear between the city sponsorship of the airport and the authority setting aside the matching funds. I mean, but collectively, it matches up to exactly what you said.
We had to adjust it for Fairhope politics.
Okay. One question I do have, on the 424 form, which is the actual pre-application, the authorized representative, do I need to list that as, do you want me to just leave it completely blank, or do you want me to make it the chairman?
What are you asking, that the mayor sign that, or who, is that what you're asking? Who
No,
needs to sign it?
I'm asking who's authorized to sign it, whether that's, I know I heard them say that you were asking for an authorized representative of the authority to sign
Sure.
that pre-app.
Yeah, I think I can clarify it for you, then you tell me if we need to do something different. Historically, I understand that the chairman of the authority has signed the app, and then when it comes time to execute the agreement, it comes in the name of the city of Fairhope, because the city of Fairhope is a sponsor of the airport. That created a little bit of confusion this year, and we had to, sort of at the last minute, we were sort of scrambling to try and clarify that confusion. And so, the way that I had drafted the resolution is that it will be a representative of the city of Fairhope to sign the 424 application, and then also sign the agreement once it comes time to do that, just so that that is consistent. I hope that jives with how y'all need it to
Yeah,
work.
that's not a problem as long as it just says on their form, authorized representative.
But that way it will be consistent, so that when we get the actual agreement, then you'll have the same signature on the application and the agreement, and there's not that confusion that we had at the last minute this year. The authority is still setting aside the matching funds, which we have a separate resolution to set aside the matching funds for the grant that the authority will adopt.
Okay, so the easiest thing for me to do is just send the 424 filled out with all the dollar amounts and everything on it, and then I'll leave the authorized representative completely blank and let you guys fill it out.
And I'll get with the mayor, we'll get it signed. Okay? Gotta do it by November 1st though.
Yeah, I'll have this back to you by the next day or so.
Okay. All right, any other questions? So, I mean, I don't think there's anything to vote on. I just wanted to, we just know what the CIP plan is for the next 5 years. And every 2 years, we'll look at this every year. It's not like we can't change our mind, if we need to do something else, we can do that. All right, next thing is review and approval of the East Side Terminal Area Plan. This was supposed to be done in July when we were about ready to get the 2018 AIP, but since we didn't do it, I pulled it. But there's a plan, I think I sent you a copy of the plan. And that's really kind of, I think everybody here's at some point in time looked at that plan. And that's the plan that we're building towards as we speak. I mean, it's all but on the ground now. Any questions or comments on that? Hank, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I guess, what you guys have seen, I don't know, there should be a copy of it, I think.
Last page, yeah.
Yeah, last page.
Just towards the back.
The only thing that we need at this point is if everybody's okay with what's laid on this piece of paper, then we can forward to the FAA for their review, seeking their approval on it. And then that can get put into the airport's actual ALT, airport layout plan. So if there's changes, it's not too late to make the changes, we just need to know what those changes are. But if you agree with what's on the map as we have it, then all I need is basically approval, and I can send that to the feds for their review.
We certainly have knocked it around over the last 6 months. I think it's a good plan. We've kind of gone back and forth for where to put the T-hangers. But
I think you did a good job of incorporating everything that we asked for. Your tie downs are there. They're, kind of situated where based on priority. And, yeah, looks good.
okay, do I have a motion that we accept the plan as presented?
I'll make a motion, we accept the plan as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it, and so we accept the plan as presented. So and I guess you'll know within, 6 months or 4 months whether the FAA has any concerns?
They'll get back relatively quick. I mean, it shouldn't take that long. This will be sent straight to Kevin Morgan, the airport district manager, district officer, which is y'all's ADO for Fairhope. He'll look at it, make sure he doesn't see any issues with safety areas or constraints and things of that nature. And then as long as he's good with it, he'll go ahead and say, yeah, he's good with it. He'll put it in the file and we can add it to your ALP.
Okay.
Very simple process.
Okay, the next item is number 4. I skipped
2 and 3.
I skipped 3.
You skipped 2,
And
too.
2.
Well, I looked at the minutes on 2.
We did that last time.
I did skip 2.
Number 2, I made the motion to accept the slate of officers. Was I making the motion to accept the slate of officers for nominations or to vote on them?
Our process in the past has been we
Laid it over after
we
you.
put in officers for nomination, and then we vote on them.
Well, I wasn't sure the way it read.
Well,
So that was just the acceptance of the slate.
Acceptance of the slate.
Okay, all right.
So we need to approve the slate of officers for 2017, 2018. And the slate are myself as chairman, Pam is Pam Morrell, Pam is vice chairman. And Ray Hicks is secretary treasurer. I did that one other time too.
We both have 2 L's if they know our name, right?
Sorry, that's the motion, and I'd appreciate a second.
I second.
No, I appreciate a first, and we need a
Not so moved.
He had a motion and a second.
Okay, all right. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Ray. And then those opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. So the third thing, out of order, is the updates and status of the East Side Construction The Phase 3 project, the final walkthrough was a couple weeks ago. Me and
Last
talked
week.
about that.
Yeah, it was last week. Joe and Chip and I met with Volkert and the contractor out and walked through everything. Looks like everything's good. The interesting parts we talked about while we were there, we got a concrete tunnel under the ground that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars that you can't see. But we got a nice holding pond. The grass is seeding in well, better than most construction sites, I see, to be honest with you. So all that looks to be in good shape. So we approved it as a final, and I guess they'll be paid their final draw soon.
Yeah.
And I'll sign the acceptance and get it to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fine. You just respond to that letter saying that the board approves recommendation made by Volker to accept the project. And
Okay.
I'll go ahead and produce a final estimate. To have, I think, a couple of minor things on it, and then a retainage release. And it'll be good to go. We'll close it out.
It is a little odd that we didn't go forward, so we've got to wait a whole year. That was a.
Yeah, it's a big blow to all of us.
It is a big blow.
We were looking forward to finishing it.
Okay. All right. Anything else on that? Okay. I want to talk briefly about the development of the west side of the airport. I keep that on the agenda so that we'll always remember how important that is. I have been exchanging emails with Lee Lawson and with Hutchinson, Rouse and Moore about some site work. And we've got some preliminary estimates on some site work to grade out 20 acres. We basically went back to Lee and said he's got an actual prospect that's looking to for a site. I said, it's very expensive to grade out 20 acres without doing soil testing, whatever. So we went back and he actually gave me a site plan. So we're going to firm the actual cost up, and then we'll know where we are, and we'll, and then the potential prospect will come in, and he'll have something that, he'll know how much it's going to cost him to develop the site. So, that's encouraging. He's got actually footprint of what the company wants to build. I think it's about a 6,000 square foot, about a 12,000 square foot building. On these, with access on 32. So we are doing.
He's selected out specific acreage over there on the west side that he's interested in.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question. Did it kind of fit the existing,
yeah.
kind of quasi-plat we have, or did they, what we've always cautioned about is going around and just cutting that
That's
tender line
right.
right out of the center.
No,
And going, I want this perfectly square 20 acres right in the middle of
Yeah.
everything.
Besides, we have to go along with, we're working on updating the minimum standards for construction standards and architectural review. So, it's going to have to fall in line with that as well. You don't want a sore thumb sticking out.
It's, I think we've had a reality check about what the value of that property and what we need to do to sell it. We've got some work to do. We've just got to find a tenant who wants to be there. That's really the key. But I think Lee really does have somebody that's somewhat interested.
What is that? That doesn't answer my question about, did they cherry pick the
No, they
land?
did. He just wanted 4 acres. The actual site, the footprint would be 4 acres. I went back to him and said it costs almost $1 million to do the 20 acres that he talked about to get it level without knowing what they wanted. So I said, this is realistic. And so he said, no, really, we need about a 4 acre site. And so I think we can do that for, maybe $50,000 or $60,000.
But again, where on that west side plat are those 4 acres he's interested in?
It's going to be on the right side. We'll probably move the road that hugs the wetlands, and then move it on the right. It'll be the 2 lots adjacent to 32 right there.
So fronting on 32.
Yeah.
And so are you suggesting that the airport authority is going to pay for the grading, or are they buying?
I'm not suggesting anything. We don't even have anybody see his level of interest. I didn't suggest that we would pay for the buy.
Or why was the estimates then, to give them?
I wanted to know what it was gonna cost. And that was Lee's question. How much is it gonna cost to grade and fill, to get this site ready?
Is Lee's prospect to develop a building, a spec building, or is it end user?
I thought it was a prospect, basically a spec building. Someone, I mean, that's what the dialogue I've had with Lee is about, is a spec building for someone that will build a spec building in Baldwin County for, as a recruiting tool.
If they'll do it, great.
So that's an update. Okay. Pam, you want to talk a little bit about the minimum standards?
Well, I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I got that Chip, Ray, and I will be updating the minimum standards, and so those are now going to include construction standards and architectural standards. And so I have established a platform on Basecamp that we can all work from virtually, and started an Excel spreadsheet that they're looking at, and we're going to be assigning out actions to move that forward.
That's good.
I can get you an outdated copy of Brooklyn Fields, because they need to update theirs. And I can get
Okay.
you a current copy, Jack Edwards.
Yeah, I'd get
Okay.
one.
Yeah, that'd be good.
You'll show yours, but from Vic, or if you got one.
I got one.
Do you have it in a file format?
I do.
Okay, could you email it to me, and I'll load it onto the Basecamp for us to work from?
Is that Burrell with the B or Caudell with the C?
That's Caudell.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay. So you'll report back, I mean, we'll keep it open November, December, work towards getting it done?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, next item of business is the flight line manager's report. Joe?
On the placing the cameras,
Can
I
you, can you come sit here so we can,
I'm still talking to Mr. Stromberg as far as what we're gonna do is interior cameras, but I recommend anything you wanna do on the exterior would be airport authority.
well, I got a caustic email from him saying it wasn't in the budget for this year.
Okay.
I mean, so,
Yes, sir, for all of the interior spaces.
and so, I mean,
So let me comment, because I then went back, I saw the email, I then went back and had a meeting today with GSI, and he is sending an updated bid. Bobby Odom was at the meeting too, to make sure that we'll coverage it, so I should have that by end of business tomorrow at the very latest, and we can move forward with the 3 cameras and a cipher lock on the pedestrian gate. Discussion of it, yes, yeah, with an updated bid, so I'll have all the numbers.
That's moving forward. I'm reluctant to do anything without having an integrated system with Continental. I mean,
Well, we talked about that too, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And then another area of concern is on the gate by the fire station. Someone could walk around the side of the gate, so we need some kind of additional barbed wire or
Yeah.
fencing on that side.
Yeah, I discussed that with Bobby today at the meeting, yeah.
Go ahead.
The concrete was the next one.
We need to do it. I mean, it's budgeted for, we need a, how much did it cost? Vince, can you share some light on, right there when you come into the gate where the fuel trucks are, that concrete's ratted and just
Cracking and-
cracking, and I think it's almost a safety hazard keeping the fuel trucks there. Sparks, I mean, you can see the rebar.
Where are you keeping the trucks now?
Yeah.
Is that where you're
Yes,
talking?
yeah.
That's the old fuel farm
Well,
from the 1960s.
Really?
Yeah, it was all above ground right there.
so, I
The
mean,
rebar showing the concrete, it's large chunks now that are breaking loose.
would you recommend digging the concrete up or just paving it over with asphalt?
Probably doing some core testing and seeing just how deep it is. And then I would think you could probably, in select areas, reinforce it and pour over it without tearing it up. Just gotta make sure it's not
It's on
gonna
the
crack
on the
inside.
sidewalk when you come through the pedestrian gate.
It's a concrete pad
Yeah.
where they park rental cars, and
Yeah.
they've started parking the fuel trucks there.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Outside the fence?
No,
no,
Inside.
inside the fence, immediately to your
If you
right,
walk
as
through
you
the
enter
gate
the pedestrian
On the
gate.
sidewalk, it's just on the right. You got rental cars parked there and the fuel trucks are parked there now.
And
It's actually the crew cars.
Crew cars.
Yeah.
Crew cars are parked there in the fuel trucks.
You got some old anchor bolts there sticking out of the ground, and you got cracked concrete in different spots all over, but that's a pretty thick slab, so we,
And then rebars.
some core testing would answer every one of those questions.
But we've agreed to do that. I mean,
Yes.
that's something that we just need to figure out a way to, get a contractor in. It's a small job. I know it's hard to get. you know.
And the answer might be jack it up and repack it and pave back over it and make it asphalt. But a couple core tests will answer that.
I
Do you have a
can
comment, Ray?
And I was just agreeing with Vince, looking at rehabilitation of these old concrete paths, a lot of times it's hard to get them to bind, and then we just have to look at a couple different options.
Water leak around the sky, on the skylight, didn't we get that repaired?
They said they were fixed, but they're still leaking. 'Cause we just had that storm, well, it rained this past weekend. and it's
Hard.
leaking.
Yeah.
It's still leaking. It's just running, it's
Well,
running.
and send me a bill, so, I mean.
It's running from the skylight and it's dripping down onto the beams and then running and dripping.
Is it
down.
Mr. You're dealing with the Rogers?
Yes, sir. They're the ones that came out and looked at it. They said it was where the skylights were screwed, the screws going.
Yeah,
through it.
that's what he told me. He said it would just needed some silicone around the screws.
They are still leaking, one over on the back, on the south side of the avionics hangar, and then over with the electrodes, we park those on the north side, northeast corner of the building.
But he comes when you call, well, he comes when I call. Does he come when you call him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, this
And
is
they got
getting-
up there and they said they fixed it, they put silicone on it, but it's still leaking.
Joe, are those LED lights in there now?
No, sir. There's a few that are,
So you still need the skylights?
right.
You need the light from the skylight?
We don't, I think we can do it without them.
You're better off to do without them, and every time we go up there, we're gonna have another water leak because we're
Right.
gonna create another one on the
Right,
other
by
metal
walking
roof.
on it.
We spent
Yeah, if you could-
$70,000 replacing those roofs 4 years ago. I mean, at our expense.
And that's where the water's coming in around the skylights.
That's frustrating.
Does Continental pay for the utilities on the electricity there?
Yes, sir, we do.
There's a number of energy management companies these days that are doing programs where they'll replace your bulbs for LEDs, kind of split cost savings with them over a period of time. So that, there could be an option there, not cost anything to Continental, but hooking you guys up with that sort of organization.
And in turn, you get rid of the skylights and you get rid of the leaks.
Right.
And, and getting somebody to walk up there is a challenge too.
Right.
Because he do more damage than he does good. Okay.
I can go up there and check it, and the whole roof will leak here.
You can miss one breath.
Unless I fall through somewhere.
All right, dedicated helicopter landing site, kind of stuck on that a little bit.
Well, I looked at this is what I printed off from the lease agreement. It shows the areas that under our lease, but where the public safety hangar is. That spot that we had talked about right here. You see right here? That's not in our lease agreement, so if they want to use that spot, they want to designate that.
You're talking about where the tie downs are?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna pull those ropes up because according to this, we're not paying for that area. So it's.
Well, that gives an option. I've not had the conversation with them.
Where is that, Joe?
See that way. I don't know if everybody's seen that before.
Make sure that's the correct area. It's the vacant lot, and on there it's showing a helipad designated on that spot.
Is that where they normally pull the trailer out
Yes,
there
that's where they
anyway?
normally pull the trailers out and launch from there.
A concern, any problems with blast on the airplanes in the tie down? Up until last year, those tie downs are pretty vacant down there. I worry
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
having a
that's a
helicopter
concern.
take off and land in
Right.
close proximity to the airplanes.
Sometimes they do take off directly from there. They just turn east and launch directly from there. But it is a hazard for the aircraft tied down in that area.
Is that the grass area, Joe?
No.
It's right in front of,
Yeah.
right in front of the grass area.
Yeah.
That's
I
where they
wonder-
always park the trailer and taking
Right.
shit
Yeah.
off the track.
But they'll either launch from there directly or they'll hover taxi, which still creates the rotor wash for the aircraft.
That's the real problem.
So I still think
Where they're
we ought to talk to the public safety folks and see how they would feel about launching from the closed taxiway.
They would
I
just-
mean, that would solve all the problems, close that portion of the taxiway and let them use
That
it.
was the proposal that we came up with in a conference call with Volker. It was, but you wouldn't have any problem with going back to that place where they are now, though. Was there a reason, there was a reason why we couldn't do that, wasn't there, Hank? I mean,
The only thing is it, I guess the question originally came is could you designate a spot with a marking for a helicopter or a helipad? You can do that. The only thing that comes up with that is once you do that, then it's free access to everybody. It's not a dedicated spot for the public safety guys. The other thing that comes in with that is if it's airport-owned property or property that's not currently leased to a tenant, then you can't, or you can dedicate a spot. That person can do whatever he wants in that spot, I guess is what I'm trying to say, so I don't get it backwards. The location on the old taxiway, you can put a big H out there, everybody can use it, they can use it, you know. The same rules that apply to an airplane apply to a helicopter.
Sure.
So when they come in, they're supposed to follow the taxiway lines, you know, in and out, same as an aircraft.
That being said, if we had that area designated, if we ever had a situation like a hurricane, all of a sudden PHI's got 15 helicopters coming in, there's no, I mean, they would be landing out of the way, whereas, you know, before they were landing all over on the ramps, so it might be an advantage of just closing that taxiway and designate that for a helicopter.
Because right now, MedStar, they land up by the north hangar. That's where they always come in and land.
and so does, yeah, so does,
This really wasn't a problem 3 or 4 years ago, because there weren't any planes on the south ramp.
Yeah.
Right.
And now we got all
Yeah.
the planes down there and they're hovering. So
So I think PHI was where the Mr. Hicks and Mr.
The
Bunce.
hangars, yeah, that's where they were, that whole
if
area.
PHI came back, we'd have a space
Yeah.
problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were using the trailer that was
Yeah.
there then temporarily and parked it right outside of it.
Ideally, you'd want to get them away from structures and any other aircraft that are closed just because of the rotor wash that's produced by it. I mean, the safest place there is probably that old taxiway once you get around that corner.
No one uses that taxiway anyhow, so.
Okay, so I'm gonna have a conversation with the public safety and people and just say, this is what we prefer, and get their feedback. I think they really just wanna know what their options are.
Right. And it's just the distance they'd have to pull with their tug, the platform, the helicopters down there to launch from.
Are we considering this at their request?
Yeah, they've, I think, I mean, I'm putting this in context, but I think what has happened is, as we're full, and a lot of the spaces where they traditionally launched from, you know, have had tie downs, and they didn't have a place to land and take off. But if we can honor that and not use that tie down spot, which is not part of your lease, then we should be okay.
And the other thing is just to make sure, just so you don't have an infraction with not using the property properly, is if you're going to dedicate them a spot,
That's where they got land.
then you have to assign them a lease somehow. You know what I mean? If you went out there and said, this is the public hangar spot, then that has to be rented to them per se. You know what I mean? Because you've just taken it out of the public's hands.
We need a lease
Yeah, we need to.
that goes through legal.
Right, yes.
We
But
don't have
that's
to
the
charge
best
them.
spot.
Right. Or if you're gonna designate a helipad, then there may be somebody there parked in it when they get ready to go launch. So it's kind of if you put a big H on the pavement, it's access to everybody unless you rent it.
Okay.
I mean, if you have an H, I mean, you've got that whole area, you've got, if we close that taxiway from the south taxiway on the ramp to the north one, you've got to have about 500 feet strip of asphalt, so more than one helicopter could land there. You just wouldn't be landing on the painted H, but they'd be,
Yeah, exactly.
Josh, I'd like to get with you and see if we can come up with some language to amend the lease. I'm not sure we need to charge them a lot, maybe $65 a month or something like that additional, or something minimal, de minimis.
I don't think you have to either. I mean, it can just be nominal consideration for the additional space.
Okay.
Because the other side of the coin is we could use those 2 tie-down spots. I mean, we're short tie-downs.
Yeah, and that's what, that would be the market.
Mhm.
We put 5 or 6 Chinooks right behind that.
That's right.
All right, replacement on the distance marker on the runway, I guess, we had an accident.
Yes,
Have we ordered the distance marker yet? I think
we have
we've
not. Waiting on an estimate from Leo Murphy, and I spoke with him this morning, and he said he's going to have a complete list of everything that we need out there to fix the runway lights, a list of spares, and the estimate for the distance marker, and he had that for you by the first of next week. He's in Missouri right now.
Okay.
And that's Electrical Construction Specialties Incorporated is the company that he has. And he has a team, because I talked to him, because he's hard to get hold of, but where he is, he's in a remote area, so he's hard to get a hold of, but he's on his way back to Mississippi.
Does he have any background, is he a one-man?
He has,
He's a real company.
He's a real company, and he has a full staff.
Okay.
He doesn't do it by himself. He said he's putting up, he had 4 beacon lights he put up. in the
Right,
past
and
2
that
years.
was my concern. We've taken so long to get a price from him that I thought maybe he was a one-man show.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's
They're
what
so
concern
busy
we have.
with projects.
We're gonna knock this around in the next week or so, and we're gonna come up with a process
Right.
for making sure the lights stay on.
Or is
Yeah.
that something that I should do in a week, like have one of my line guys or myself go out on a weekly basis to check all the lights and then just mark with an engineer's flag? And then
That would be great.
That's what, I went out with Joe
Yeah.
Sunday and we drove down and looked at them all. And there are about 4 or 5 runways, 1 runway end identifier lights out. Those are the ones that we really got to stay on
Taxi
top of.
lights.
And once we get written up in the
Directional
runways
signs.
and the PAPI and the real lights in our report from the state, so I know we've got lots of taxiway lights out, and, that's not acceptable, but, the ones that Jordan focuses on is runway, real lights.
PAPI's real.
And then with the issue with the FAA, with the lighting concern, Leo knows the regulations on that, and he quoted it to me about the bypassing those boards are $700 a piece, so he's
Yeah.
already saved you around $7,000 in electrical equipment that wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
And that was to regulate the brightness of the lights, which those lights, you've probably seen them.
We're talking about on the taxiways.
Right, the directional signs. And so he was able just to, they're not necessary.
Yeah.
So he was able to save all that money. And he's got 90% of them are working now. And none of them were working for probably.
Because I didn't want to spend
Long time,
$1,000 a light to have the taxiways.
And he went out there in one day and fixed 90% of them.
Okay.
Now, that distance marker, that's gonna not be paid for by us, but
Right.
Roger's gonna pay for that. So we got a price for one, we get the price from Leo, and whichever one's the cheapest one, we'll just get it
Okay,
done.
So we really need to create a diagram that has every light out there
Right.
for you, so when you ride through
So
there,
I can
you can
circle
just
it and
exit
have a
off
number.
and say this
Yeah.
is out, and we can date it, and
Yeah.
we'll know where we are.
I mean, Joe went out and flagged them all with a little red flag on each of them, but, we went out there. It's something we need to get a handle on, and
That's when he could
Get a
fax
good
to us
process.
and say, hey, these are out,
Yeah.
fix them.
And
And
that's
if
what
the
I'm working on
FAA comes
trying to-
in, we'll have documentation that we've been
we've
checking.
been doing it.
And we need to keep, the other part of this is we need to keep lights and circuit boards inventory.
You need spares,
Because we don't
right.
need to, what happens is you get Alan out there to do the work, and then they say, well, we don't have you pay them a trip charge, and we don't have the right bulbs. That's real frustrating.
And Leo said he would just sell us all the bulbs we needed at cost.
We put the bulbs in ourselves.
Well, that's what-
Well, that's what we've been doing.
that's what
Kyle's been doing it, yeah.
And then Leo would have the list, and that's what he's gonna put together for you and have it by the first of next week.
Okay.
And that'll be the full list of what we need and backups.
Well, we'll get there. But yeah, we'll get there. All right, moving on, additional tie downs, aircraft tie downs. We don't have any additional space for tie downs right now. There's some on the east side of construction. Anything else we need to add to this list that you want to track?
I've got some things I think that need attending
Okay,
to,
name
attention to,
them.
and which Josh reviewed. We were discussing about routine maintenance on the T-hangers.
Right,
which,
the door sweeps and the,
And the-
replacing the gaskets and
Yeah.
doors, and that's our responsibility.
Yeah, that's what we figured, or we found out. We looked at the lease
So
and
we are
found that out.
responsible for doing it.
So that, y'all have done a good job of whoever's keeping the bathrooms clean. They were never cleaned before. It's like, I just go in there and spray it down, scrubbing bubbles and just hose the whole thing out. It's nasty, but Joe's done a good job with that.
So you're gonna repair the door sweeps on the T-anchors?
If that's, and then, do you have the section on the lease? that you remember?
Well, I mean, it's a combination of the 2014 lease and the 1995 lease, but if you go to, I think, Article 7 under the 1995 lease, basically the authority would be responsible for the structural elements of the T-hangers, but the routine maintenance and repairs fall on the tenant.
So that would be the, like, door gaskets, door sweeps?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so I'll have to report that to Mr. Stromberg. He just had a question about that. He was gonna pay for it.
We also, there's the taxi line is just, there's no taxi line on the ramp that we should have. We need to get that yellow
That's the
stripe
yellow line we've been talking
Yeah.
about?
Yes, sir. All of the taxi lines coming, leading out of the hangars and then out to the center line. And I wouldn't see that costing a whole lot of money because they have the machine that you walk behind it.
Just do it by hand.
Well, I was, when we originally had this conversation, I said, well, let's do it when we get phase 4
On the west
done,
side.
when they're there, but that ain't gonna happen for a year.
Yeah, let's
So
get-
Let's just go ahead and do that. Can you find somebody when, and I believe that's an authority.
I think that's gonna be our
Okay.
responsibility.
I'll put it on my list, and we'll aim to try to do it. Okay?
Okay. So is that something, do you want me to get a contractor and get some bids, or is that something you're gonna do?
I mean, if it's, we'll talk about it offline, but
Okay.
my sense of it will be like less than $1,000, and, I'll poll the board if I need to.
Okay.
Another issue is, we have more and more traffic, people parked in front of the hangars, which that's fine. But when you have planes coming back and forth, they're in the way. But when we did that construction project, that drainage project, it's a pretty deep drain and there's no bridge or anything to walk over to get to the hangars. I think we need to think about,
Bridge.
right, and for both rows of T hangars and for the state troopers hangar. I think we'd have a lot less traffic on the ramps if we had
So
a place for
you'd have
people.
them park on the entranceway and then walk across it?
Yeah,
So it's a lot like the hangar, or Gone Broke LLC, their hangar 17 is right across from the public safety.
Yeah.
And so they park along on the side of that road on the end.
and I went by there today and whoever has the hangar at the end next to them, there's a car
That's a
parked right in the middle of the
So you're
taxiway.
gonna like a wooden bridge, 2 wooden bridges that access the T hangars.
Right, because there's a,
I'll take you out
I
there
know.
next week, show you, but that,
Any
yeah.
problem with that we'd have to get FAA, we could just do that, couldn't we?
I need to look and see,
Yeah.
just to make sure. You talking about over that grass area?
Over the drain, they put those concrete
the
drains
concrete
just
drain
west of
in.
the T hangars.
Yeah, we need to look because it may be in violation of the actual object-free area because that is considered a taxiway when you go to that hangar. That makes sense, Joe?
It really doesn't, but I
Well,
understand.
there's a certain distance where you can't have anything above 4 inches above the ground. And if that bridge is 4 inches above the ground and it's too close to that taxi way or taxi lane, we need to see how they designate it.
Okay, because the taxi lane's dead end and then the road is probably 20 feet from there and that drain is kind of in the middle. So it's not
and it's
anywhere
below
near
the
the,
grade.
it's way below the taxiway.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's, it's pretty, and especially if it's raining, no one's
If
gonna
you're
do it.
taxiing over there's a problem coming
Yeah.
up.
You've got other,
You got other problems.
it's not the drain that goes in between the two paved sections running to
No,
the west.
the one that parallels the road on the west side of the T
Okay,
hangars.
yeah, that would probably be okay.
Okay.
You know where the contractor put in extra concrete that really helped us out, but he didn't have to, and he made the huge drain?
That really big drain, the Grand Canyon.
That's one,
Mhm. Yeah, I know what you're talking
just past Bones, but.
about. Right, yes. They should be fine to go make a bridge to the road, I guess you could say.
Right at the end of the building. basically.
Right, yes.
Okay.
One more, I'm not sure what we need code-wise, but the old T hangars have fire extinguishers in them, and the new two hangars that don't have any in there. I don't know if that's something that we need to figure out to provide, if we legally have to provide one.
That was another thing, we are responsible for the fire extinguishers for the base customers.
I don't know.
Volunteers, that's what we do.
Not sure about the fire extinguisher.
How much, I mean,
I mean,
well, we need fire extinguishers, let's, I mean.
yeah, the
And
north
there's
T hangar
lots
that
of
Continental
fire
has, they have fire extinguishers
and
in
the
each
new ones that
unit.
we just
The
come
new
up
ones
with.
have no fire extinguishers.
We need fire extinguishers.
And these are not your everyday fire extinguishers either. They're a little more expensive.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
there's the
they'll be
maintenance of
halon
the
or
fires.
something, yeah.
These have to be inspected.
Yeah,
Once a year.
The are the old T hangars inspected once a year?
Probably not.
That's what I need, that's what I was here to find out, is who is responsible for that? Is that Airport Authority, or is that going to be Continental Motors for, or is that up to the customers providing the fire extinguishers?
Josh
I
will
have
work
no
on
idea.
it.
Better off to find out before one burns down.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't mind buying my own if that's,
There were
but
leases for the T hangars that were assigned to Continental Motors, so those leases would come into play as well. I don't have any of those, I don't think. I mean, I'll have to go look.
does it say anything about it on those hangar leases about a fire
I
extinguisher or
don't
not?
remember seeing anything. about fire
I don't
extinguishers.
either, but
I'll go back and look.
That's a good question.
That is a
Yeah.
really good question. So we're gonna add to our list the yellow line, the bridge, and the
Fire
fire
extinguishers.
extinguishers. And we don't have an answer of the fire extinguishers, we're gonna research it.
We're gonna research that. And the bridge, if you see that, they have like a metal grate type bridge versus wood. Like it would just lay down across there, you would have some kind of support underneath it, but that would be,
less maintenance to a metal
Mhm.
bridge too than a wood.
Right, because I know they make them galvanized so they won't rust.
Yeah,
I think that's probably,
And
pretty
versus
simple.
wood, because then that would rot. over
Yeah.
time.
again, I'll.
I agree. It can be made to bolt right into that concrete.
Like a,
so
right, like a catwalk type.
Custom made.
Okay,
I know we're on the continental list, we've still got to address our grass cutting on the east side and how we're
well,
going to
I
do
mean,
that.
my sense of it is that, I was told pretty firmly, it's out of warranty, and we're gonna have to get Kyle to pay.
Right, I mean, we've got to address getting Kyle to
I
start
mean,
cutting.
And I was looking at this, but this is the area where the wash pad is,
Mhm.
right here, and that's not part of Continental's lease, so that area would have to be
Cut.
cut, as well as the road on the west side going down to the T hangers. And then there's this area over here, it's the fire station, where we would have that parking lot, and right there where we park.
We need to sit down and make sure that we're all on the same page about what grass needs to be cut. I think I anticipate when I renegotiate the lease, or when we rebid out the lease, well, Kyle, I think there's a paragraph that discusses the east side. And I think it's an extra $200 a cut. I mean, it's not-
We just need to find out if it's not, we need to get it in there before it
Needs to.
starts cutting into our asphalt. Particularly since we're waiting a year. If we're not waiting a year.
Wouldn't be a
we're-
problem.
Okay, so I'll do that. Anything else, Joe?
That's all I got.
I'm gonna
That's
add
true.
yellow line,
your
bridge,
chip.
and the fire extinguisher. Sorry.
And you and I we're gonna meet with Kyle Monday, and we can
Talk
kind of
about
talk about this, all of it.
All right. Anything else? Quickly, a treasurer's report. The financial information's in the package, and I'll go over if you want to. Basically, it's end of the year, operating wise, it was a good month for fuel. Operating wise, I think we're doing just about as well as we've done in the past. We've got about $520,000 in cash when everything's said and done. I have opened up a new account with Bryant Bank that we're basically going to use to accumulate money to build the generation terminal, and I'm going to put $5,000 a month in that account. Okay, so that's the only real change. We've got some money. It would cost us another $30,000 or $40,000 to close out the grant, if you will, as far as our matching portion. But we're pretty okay
So it
there.
was after the state.
And I paid
that we had-
$100,000.
It was
Bryant
after the
Bank
state that we
on
had
the,
Cole and Powell's playing there and Dr. Phil's.
right before the end of the-
Yeah, because that would mean that would go right
Any
out.
questions on the maintenance? There's really, All of these are, you know, basically bushwhackers. Their cuts about $3,400 a month, $3,400 a cut. They really cut about every 60 to 90 days. And there's a reclassification on the maintenance where we got reimbursement of insurance claim for the aviation market that was, and I basically took that out of, I reclassified that to basically maintenance as opposed to miscellaneous income. Any questions about the financials? We have one other piece of business. Ray, do you have anything to add? I mean,
Thank you for covering that.
I'm sorry, I didn't. We do need to add Michael Henson. Michael, will you introduce yourself?
Mike Henson, the new Deborah, the way I describe myself.
Welcome.
We need to add Michael to our checking accounts. And we've got checking accounts with PNC Bank, which is our construction account, and with Bryant Bank, which our operating account is. So what I need is a motion to the board that we add Michael as a signatory to our operating and construction accounts. And just for summary, the signatories are Ray Hicks, myself from the authority, Jack Gorell, and Michael Henson will be the signatory. So we have to have two signatures on each check.
I make that motion.
I second.
All right, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Aye. Okay, we've done that. Michael, if you could run by the banks, Bryant Bank down there, you have to give them your driver's license and all that stuff to get set up on the account.
Yeah, what I'll need from you is the resolution designating the new check signers.
Okay.
And probably a letter from you just saying, we're adding Mike.
Yeah.
You know, this is what's going on, so
Okay.
I probably need those two things. And then I can get all that stuff together.
The resolution can be part of the minutes,
Yeah,
and then I'll write you a letter.
yeah, and just a very basic thing,
Yeah.
just to kind of let her, please make this change to the
Okay.
check signer.
Fine. Any other business needs to come in front of the board? Sherry Lee, you've been awfully quiet.
Just listening. Taking it all in.
It's just a lot of airport stuff, pretty important stuff.
All right.
Seeing no other business, I adjourn the meeting at 5:08. Thank y'all very much.
Anytime.
Thanks.